And Mr. Trump returns to Europe, where he'll try to improve his tense relationship with the French president. A live report just ahead. Well, Mr. Trump is headed back to Europe today, this time to Paris, at the invitation of French President Emmanuel Macron to attend the annual Bastille Day celebrations. Well, Melissa Bell is covering his trip and joins us now live from Paris. Melissa, I think it's safe to say this Russian scandal will be following the president to France. Are there concerns from French officials that this will overshadow the visit?
I think it's almost inevitable that they will play a huge part in the interest that is paid to this visit, in particular, of course, Anna, by the American press, particularly because Donald Trump has been laying so low these last couple of days as this has been dominating the headlines. Officials here, though, are very much focused on the fact that there is concrete progress that can be made on real issues like Syria, like terrorism, for instance, and perhaps more importantly, the point of this visit for Emmanuel Macron is to say, look, we may not agree on everything. Donald Trump may be a different sort of American president, but there are all kinds of areas on which we should be trying to make progress, sort of trying to bring him back into a position where Europeans, America's historical allies in the West, feel that they can continue to look to the United States for the kind of leadership that had simply not been in question since World War II.
Melissa, as you say, Emmanuel Macron's politics are vastly different from President Trump's. Does he hope to perhaps mend bridges, make headway on those contentious issues such as trade and climate change?
Well, his attitude's been extremely interesting, Anna, much more than other European leaders. He's been quite aggressive, almost belligerent in taking on Donald Trump on a number of issues, on climate change, again this week on the Paris versus LA Olympic bid, sometimes going so far as to use the president's own words against him because Emmanuel Macron represents a completely different worldview and has chosen perhaps much more aggressively than other European leaders to take on the American president, twisting, for instance, his campaign message when the American president announced the United States would withdraw from the Paris climate change, make the planet great again, had said Emmanuel Macron. There was, of course, the famous handshake. So there is this sense that he wants to present himself as someone who will, in a very forthright way, go against everything the American president represents, to remind him perhaps of what American presidents used to represent. And so there is on one hand that belligerence, that almost aggressiveness, aggressive posturing on the part of the French president, but also there is this sense, much more than has the German chancellor, for instance, that whatever the difference is, however great the divide, it is still better to try to talk than simply to shut the United States out. Angela Merkel had come to the conclusion at the end of the G7 summit that really, well, Europe had to go it alone at this stage and stop looking towards its historical ally for support. Emmanuel Macron is more hopeful than that and believes that there can be some progress made, and that's what he's going to try and achieve with an awful lot of face time with the American president over the next couple of days. They're going to be meeting alone a great deal, and it'll be really interesting to see, Anna, what specific progress on some of the issues facing the world can be made. Also, whether Emmanuel Macron will manage, as he still hopes to do, to change the American president's mind on the crucial question of climate change.
Melissa Bell joining us from Paris. Good to see you. Thank you.